#10 Great Space Sci-Fi TV Shows that were overshadowed by Star Trek. Star Trek is a towering force in the realm of science fiction television. Since its debut in 1966, it has spawned multiple spin-offs, influenced generations of creators, and become synonymous with televised sci-fi. But Star Trek's success often came at a cost, namely, overshadowing numerous other space-set sci-fi series that brought their own bold visions, memorable characters, and speculative brilliance to the small screen. Some were ahead of their time, others niche by design, but all of them deserve more recognition than they got. Here are 10 great space sci-fi TV shows that were overshadowed by Star Trek, and why they still matter today. 1. Farscape 1999 to 2003, overshadowed by Star Trek, Voyager and Star Trek, Enterprise. Produced by the Jim Henson Company and co-produced with the Sci-Fi Channel, Farscape was a bold, bizarre, and deeply character-driven show about an American astronaut flung across the universe into a living ship full of alien fugitives. While Voyager was delivering classic Trek themes with a procedural flavor, Farscape leaned into operatic, often psychedelic storytelling. Its aliens weren't just humanoid, many were puppeteered, grotesque, and emotionally complex. Its central love story between Crichton and Aaron's son rivaled anything in Star Trek's canon. But Farscape never quite reached mainstream status. It was quirky, risk-taking sci-fi when audiences and networks weren't ready to let go of the polished Federation look. Still, its cult following and creative ambition make it a true genre gem. 2. Babylon 5 1993 to 1998, overshadowed by Star Trek, The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Perhaps the most infamous case of being overshadowed by Star Trek, Babylon 5 was developed around the same time as Deep Space Nine, both shows set on space stations, featuring complex political intrigue and serialized storytelling. But Babylon 5 was first, and arguably more ambitious. Creator Michael Straczynski plotted out a 5-year arc from the start, a rarity at the time. The show explored prophecy, xenophobia, fascism, and war on an epic scale. Though it lacked the budget and polish of Trek, it made up for it with depth, foresight, and heart. Despite its influence, Babylon 5 often felt like the underdog in Star Trek's shadow. It remains a case study in how serialized sci-fi storytelling was possible well before it became mainstream. 3. Andromeda 2000 to 2005, overshadowed by Star Trek, Enterprise. Gene Roddenberry's name is all over Andromeda, even though it launched years after his death. Developed from unused concepts of his, the show starred Kevin Sorbo as a Nietzschean battling starship captain trying to rebuild a fallen civilization. Despite having a premise that echoed classic Star Trek ideals, order versus chaos, diplomacy versus war, Andromeda struggled with network interference and tonal inconsistencies. Still, it had an ambitious universe and a strong female cast, and it brought fun high-concept stories week after week. Enterprise, premiering just 1 year later, drew all the buzz as The Next Trek, while Andromeda quietly carved out its niche in syndication. 4. The Expanse 2015 to 2022, overshadowed by Star Trek, Discovery, and Picard. Though The Expanse has garnered critical acclaim and built a loyal fan base, it was launched during the modern Star Trek resurgence. Discovery premiered just 2 years later, followed by Picard, Strange New Worlds, and more. Set in a solar system on the brink of war, The Expanse combined hard science fiction with geopolitical intrigue, conspiracy, and class conflict. It was often more grounded and sophisticated in its storytelling than its Trek counterparts. But because it aired on Sci-Fi and later moved to Amazon, it never reached the cultural saturation of Star Trek. Despite its superior writing and world building, The Expanse constantly had to fight for survival, something Star Trek, with its institutional legacy, rarely had to do. 5. Space, Above and Beyond 1995 to 1996, overshadowed by Star Trek, Voyager. This short-lived Fox series followed a group of space fighter pilots in a war against a mysterious alien species. Created by X-Files alumni Glenn Morgan and James Wong, Space Above and Beyond was gritty, militaristic, and emotionally charged, a far cry from Trek's diplomacy-first idealism. While Voyager was trying to maintain the Trek formula in a new quadrant, Space Above and Beyond offered a look at the cost of interstellar war, racism, and trauma. Unfortunately, it only lasted one season, unable to compete with the dominance of Voyager and other established franchises. It deserves recognition as one of the boldest what-if entries in the genre. 6. Lex 1997 to 2002, Overshadowed by Star Trek, Deep Space Nine and Voyager. A Canadian-German co-production, Lex was weird, sexual, violent, and absurd. It followed a group of misfits aboard a sentient bioship shaped like a giant insect as they traversed two universes. The show was notorious for its dark comedy, surreal world building, and campy tone. Lex couldn't have been more different from Star Trek, and that was part of the problem. It was too strange for mainstream sci-fi fans and too sci-fi for fans of weird cult series. But for viewers willing to take the plunge, Lex was a fever dream of creative madness that gave voice to a wholly different flavor of speculative storytelling. 7. Stargate Universe 2009 to 2011, overshadowed by Star Trek's enduring legacy and franchise fatigue. Though the Stargate franchise was long-running and successful, Stargate Universe was a radical shift in tone and direction. Abandoning the light-hearted adventure of SG-1 and Atlantis, it opted for a darker, more serialized story about a crew stranded on an ancient ship billions of light-years from Earth. It felt more like Battlestar Galactica than Trek, but its timing was unfortunate. Audiences were fatigued with Stargate, and Trek fans were still in a post-Enterprise drought, waiting for J.J. Abrams' films to reignite interest. SGU was smart, emotional, and visually stunning, a tragic victim of expectations and poor timing. 8. Earth, Final Conflict 1997 to 2002, overshadowed by Star Trek, Voyager, and Enterprise. Another Roddenberry concept developed posthumously, Earth. Final Conflict focused on an alien race known as the Talons who come to Earth offering peace and technology. But are their motives truly benevolent? This philosophical, often cerebral series wrestled with themes of trust, assimilation, and resistance. It often played like Star Trek through a noir lens, humanity caught in a web of power, secrecy, and moral compromise. Despite an intriguing premise, inconsistent tone and creative shifts held it back. Trek's glossier production and built-in audience pushed Earth Final Conflict into obscurity, a shame, because its ideas were arguably more relevant in a post-Cold War world. 9. Outcast 2011, overshadowed by Star Trek's long-standing dominance and BBC's limited push. This BBC sci-fi drama depicted a group of human colonists on a distant planet trying to rebuild civilization after Earth's collapse. With political intrigue, survivalist storytelling, and secrets lurking in the wilds, Outcast was thoughtful and ambitious. But it only lasted one season. Poor marketing, scheduling issues, and a lack of international buzz hurt it. Star Trek, even during its hiatus, still dominated genre discourse, leaving smaller shows like Outcast buried under the radar. Nonetheless, its meditative pacing and social allegories remain compelling, worth a revisit for fans of Battlestar Galactica or The 100. 10. Killjoys 2015 to 2019, navigating corporate-dominated space politics. Yes,